Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we are talking about Shake That City from AEG, designed by, and I'm going to apologize before I butcher these names, Mads Flo and Kare Torndal Jer. And that is completely my ignorance of other cultures, so I do apologize for mispronouncing those names. Before I get started, please make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any mistakes in the rules overview, that is where you will find those corrections. Now, what Shake That City is this is a city planning, city building game in which you're going to be placing out on your individual player board various things you would find in a city. You might be placing out factories or shops or houses or parks or roads. And depending on how they are orientated in the city, you will score differing amounts of points. To do that, you're going to be using this little toy right here that is filled with cubes, and they're going to be coming out of that thing in different orientations, and how they come out will determine how you get to place things in the city. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game is played. The game is going to be played over a total of 15 different rounds, and each round is quite simple. All that's going to happen is one player is going to shake this up, and inside all the cubes are there. Then you're going to push on the side, let go, lift, and you'll see you have a pattern of cubes. The player that did the shaking is going to get to choose first, and they're going to get to pick one of the different colors. In this case, we'll say that I choose green. And I'm just going to pull those out of here, though that's not something you have to do normally, but just for the look. And what I will have to do is place 3 green tiles or parks into my city in the exact orientation there. So you see we have a 3x3 grid, so I can pick any 3x3 grid. And so let's just pretend that this is where I'm picking, and I would have had to place 2 there and 1 there, matching where these cubes were when they came out, like so. Now, if perhaps instead I had picked houses, the red one, I could take one house and put it wherever I want. Same thing with the blue shops. If I'd picked the black factories, I would have had to maybe place 2 like that, and then a third one like so. And again, I can place them wherever I want. I just have to keep the orientation exactly the same. There's no Tetris turning of things. It must be exactly like that. Then all the other players will get to pick another color and place those out, just not, again, the one that I picked first. Then once everyone is gone, you take the cubes, you put them back into the thing. Next player, on turn 2, gives it a shake, places it down, and you go again. Now, you'll notice along the side of the board there's various ways you can score points. This one here, what it's saying is, if I'm ever able to get 4 factories in this column, or completely fill this column, I will score this, I'll flip it over, and that's going to be worth 3 points at the end of the game, and each of these is a different objective that you can get, with this one here being 2 of every type of tile in the board, and then that would flip over as well. And you're going to play a total of 15 rounds. At the end of the game, you add up your points, and whoever has the high score wins. Now, scoring is done like so. Each of the different things you place into your city are going to score in different ways. For example, the factories will score 1 point per factory for if that factory is next to another factory. So in this case, this factory is worth 1, and this factory is worth 1, while these 2 are worth nothing. However, factories will also score points if they're next to a park. So in this case, this factory is next to another factory, it's worth 1 point. This factory is next to another factory, it's worth 1 point, and this factory is also next to parks, and so it's worth another point. So right here, I have 3 points of factories, that's worth nothing. Parks are going to score points by being next to houses and roads. Being next to a house and a road makes it worth 2 points, and so on. Shops are going to score points by being next to the edge of the board, and they'll score more points if perhaps they are in the middle of the board on that gray spot, and they are connected to the edge of the board by roads, like so. Roads are going to score points by being connected to the edge of the board, and again, if a road is next to a road, that counts as being connected to the edge of the board. And then finally, houses are going to score by being on the board, whether they are alone or in groups, and they will score if they are by themselves, so that's worth 2 points there. This group of houses is worth 2 points. It would still be worth 2 points if it was like that. This house here is going to be worth no points because it's next to a factory and no one wants to live next to a factory. And that's pretty much how this game works. There are more details that are into the scoring, but hopefully that gives you an idea about how that all works. So, what do I like about this game? The first thing is, and this is what I'm sure everyone's going to say, is the shaker, the gimmick, whatever you want to call it. It's just fun. It's a neat little thing, it's neat, it's fun to do, it's fun to pick up and shake and all that, but more importantly, it works really well. Like, that's the big thing. It works really well. Yes, I could just reach into a bag and pull things out and put them out in a grid of a 3x3 grid, but it would take a long time. And it wouldn't be as fun. And for me, I think that's what's important about this gimmick, is that it's more than a gimmick. It is functional in a way that makes the game better in every aspect. And that, I think, is really, really important. Next thing I like about the game is I like that it is, like I say this often with a lot of games, it is a simple puzzle in that it's not hard to understand what's going on, it's not hard to learn the rules, but that puzzle, the more and more you play, the more and more you appreciate just how hard that puzzle is to do well. And I really, really like that. There's so many times that as I was playing through, I'm like, oh, I have made a mistake. I've ruined myself on this thing I'm trying to do. Well, okay, let's see if I can salvage it and then shift and do something else. And I really do enjoy that. The other thing that I enjoy is, though there is planning that you can do, this is another one of those games that the amount of AP that you can have is reduced because you are constantly at the whim of the shaker. So yes, you can do some planning, absolutely, but you can't plan way out in advance because you don't know what's going to come out of that shaker. In addition to that, you don't know what the first person's going to take. And that's also really important as well, because whatever that first person takes until the end of the game, you're not going to be able to take it. And that adds another level to it. It also adds a bit of excitement to it, because when the exact thing that you need comes out, just one blue, one shop, and you're like, yes, it's there. And then the first person they take it, you can't have it. It's just that you get those highs and lows that you can, like in a dice game in some ways, so I appreciate that as well. So, what are my quibbles with the game? Well, the first one is all the bonus tiles that go around the edge. I like those, and I like that they'll be in different orders, which changes up your replay every time and changes up how the game works and your strategies. I think that works well. I just wish there was more of them. I wish there was more variety in them. They're all the same thing. 4 blues or a complete row. 4 greens or a complete row. Whatever. I wish there was some that, was 2 blues and 2 reds, or whatever it was, so you can mix and match those into the game, which I think would add to the game as far as bringing it back to the table, more than just kind of changing the order of the things around the board. And the only other quibble that I have is that once you get this game, once you understand it, you're going to play a few times and you're going to understand how it works. You're going to understand, well, this has to relate to this has to relate to this, and you will start to kind of fall into some patterns. Now, you can fix that a little bit by you flip the board over, you have the different type of board, but I think there is a limit to the amount of discovery that you're going to find in this game. Now, that said, I'm not saying that the game's going to get boring and you're not going to want to replay it. I mean, there are tons of games that I have maxed out the discovery that I still like playing a lot. But I think this is one of those. This is not a game that you're going to keep playing, but oh my gosh, I've never even imagined this could... No, there's 2 sides of the thing. All the tiles score the same every time, and you have the same tiles around the side. And so that's going to limit that discovery, though not limit the fun of the puzzle, but though I don't think it limits the fun of the puzzle, because again, that shaker is changing up what you get every single time. So there you have it, folks. That is Shake That City. I'm a fan of this. My wife's a fan of this. Everybody I've played has been a fan of this, mostly because it's really easy to get to the table. It's really easy to play, and I think there is so much value in that. This is a beautiful lunchtime game. I had a friend come visit me on a prep period that I had at school, and we just sat down in the classroom. We had coffee. We were talking. I punched it out, taught him the game. We played the game, and still had time left before the period was over. And that's fantastic. There are not a lot of games out there that I think are truly lunchtime games that have some meat to them. This game didn't have a lot of meat, but it definitely has some meat, and I just think that's great. And of course, it's got that wonderful, fun little shaker box squeezer thingy, which is just a blast. So there you have it, folks. That is Shake That City. As always, if I've made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.